Welcome back to another video. My name is Henrik and today we're going to be looking at the sporty variant of the Renault 5, the Alpine A290 GTS, one of the best looking EVs on the market currently in my opinion. It just absolutely looks fantastic. Alpine really did a good job of trying to put that sporty design into the Renault 5. Even the normal Renault 5 already looks quite good. Let's start off with the price of this car. Starting price of 38,700 euros. The way we have it standing here with the bigger battery and also a little bit more horsepower, that's mainly what I meant, not bigger battery, more horsepower, you are going to be looking at 46,000 euros. Actually, a little bit more than 47,000 euros. Due to the fact that we also have this wonderful color on here, which kind of looks like a matte color, but it's actually a two-tone metallic color, the Dolomite gray color. You can see black on the top and the gray here for the body color. Looks quite nice. Let's start off with the design here in the front, where we have these kind of rally design headlights, which are not headlights, they're daytime running lights with this X design. Looks absolutely fantastic. And this whole element here is also integrated into our lights right there. You can see it light up. Looks quite cool with full LED lights and also the French badge on the top, because Alpine is obviously on a French company. Design otherwise here in the front looks quite nice. We have some air intakes on the bottom and real air curtains on the side, and just a wide stance here on this car from the front, and a really good looking one in my opinion. On top of the hood we also have, just like in the Renault 5, we have this little in-carving here where now the Alpine logo is going to be in. It's not going to be illuminated, but still looks really cool in my opinion. Let's also quickly take a look under the hood, what engine variants we can pick up for this car. And under the hood we have the option between two different engine variants. We can pick up the 180 or also the 220 variant. We have the 220 here with the GTS, meaning we get 218 horsepower and also 300 Newton meters, 0 to 100 in 6.4 seconds, and also a top speed of 170 kilometers an hour. Difference to the 180 is 1 second of less 0 to 100, and also a top speed which is 10 kilometers higher, and the other one gets 177 horsepower. The car is quite light, only at around 1.5 tons, which makes this car really agile, and it's also only 3 meters and 99 long, and therefore has a very good turning circle of 10.2 meters as well. And that's where this car really shines. It kind of feels like a Polo GTI, kind of the same weight, a little bit more horsepower, really fun to drive, and that's I think where we're also going to look at this car mainly. It's just the driving fun of this car, because it offers quite a lot. And on the driver's side of the car, we will be able to charge the car here on its DC port. Max charging speed of 100 kilowatts. The battery is going to be a net usage size of 52 kilowatts an hour. 10 to 80% is claimed around 33 minutes. We also did a small charging test, which I'm going to talk to you about in a second. The car is not obviously meant for more highway driving, but we did also do a consumption test video on the top right corner if you do want to check that out. The car also has a 400 volt architecture, and we are also going to be able to have a WLTP claim distance of 360 kilometers. What we actually got is quite a little bit less. 16.5 is the kilowatts hour that is also set for its average consumption. We charged the car from around 14 up to 80%. That took us a total of 30 minutes, so right about where it's supposed to be at. And we charged a total of 32.83 kilowatts. And the average, the total time that it took us, 94.1 kilowatts was the max charging speed, with an average speed of 65.6. At around 30 to 40%, it started to hit its peak and then slowly start going down. So a quite decent charging curve in my opinion, and also quite a decent speed. And I mean, look at these rear quarters here. They absolutely look very, very big when you look at them from the side, especially when you sit on the inside. Just makes the car look very, very sporty and fantastic. Even here on the back, it does still have that design from the Renault 5 back in the days, and that's where I think Renault and Alpine did a very good job of bringing that design into life, into a modern look. Not something like Ford with the Capri, for instance, where they tried to make it look like the old variant, but they completely changed it to an SUV and looked a lot different. This looks really good and a good looking EV in my opinion. We get a nice little blue bar which goes all the way around here on the car, looks fantastic, and we also have a fairly nice big window. With this is the only part where I'm not the biggest fan of, because it looks like the separation of a spoiler, but then it just looks like a deformation in the car. Not the nicest in my opinion. We get a little bit of a diffuser on the bottom, and these black touches here all around, which looks quite nice with our LED lights here on the back. We can also obviously open the trunk, where we're not going to have the most amount of space, 326 liters, up to 1,000 however if you flip over the rear seats. That's going to be available in an 80-20 split, but you will have a fairly high loading height there, because you can see there is a little bit of inclination here. It's not tucked into the ground. We also have our charging cables here, and like I said, fairly high loading lip here as well. You can also get a towing hook, which is where you're going to be able to tow up to 500 kilograms. Question is, how often are you going to see this road on the car, first of all, and then you're probably never going to see it towing anything. If you do decide to get the towing hook, you can also put 63 kilograms of load capacity on top of it. And in the back, you can definitely tell, okay, this car is probably not meant for 4 people over longer distance. Its seat is adjusted to me. When I'm sitting in a sport car, I always like to sit a little bit lower, so you can theoretically put it up a little bit higher as well if you want to, but I have basically no foot room. I can put my feet just below it, but there's really not much space. Knee room is also right against the seat, but it is quite squishy, so I can actually put my, oh, look at this, ooh, ooh, ooh. Because I can feel all the rods in there. Oh, that's quite cool. But yeah, there's not much room there. We do have a little bit of space in the inside, so you can put some of your stuff in there. There is no cup holders in the back. You can see on the side, there is nothing where you can store anything, and it's all out of plastic as well. So if I go up on the top, everything is plastic, so not very high quality there. Otherwise, the seats actually feel quite decent, but you're not going to be able to sit in here with 5 people. Well, you might, but not for a long distance, just for some short rides. Isofix points are quite easy to get. You have this flap you can open, and also headroom is actually quite okay. Oh yeah, okay, if I'm sitting all the way up straight, I have 2 finger heights, so maybe 1.82 m, 83. Then you're gonna have to hit your head on the top. So 6'1" maybe, or 6 foot. You can see also the pattern up on the top here looks like the sound deadening material. It's just some 4 squares in there, looking better than just a plain old simple roof, which is also in black, so quite nice. We have nothing in the center console apart from a 12-volt port on the very bottom, but there's no climatization or USB-Cs anywhere. Dimensions of the car are going to be 3.99 meters long, 1.82 meters wide without the side mirrors extended, and also 1.52 meters tall. Wheelbase of 2.52 meters, and like I already mentioned, the car is going to weigh in at around 1.479 kilograms, tons. Let's look at the design here on the side. The French badge on the top here, if you want that, 50 euros extra, however, looking quite nice in my opinion. Love the blue line that goes through. If you've seen the configurator or generally pictures of the car, you'll see that wonderful blue color, which is the typical Alpine color. But once I've driven this car, or I've lived with it for 2 weeks, I really do love this gray color. It fits perfectly with the black, and also the blue touches on here. Looks fantastic. We do have keyless entry and keyless go, so you can just pop into the car without having to press any buttons. Electrical side mirrors, which are going to fold automatically. Alpine badge here on the bottom, and some more big elements here all throughout, as well as you can see here on the side. Just the side skirt is massively big. That is, well, as we call in German, doppelt gemoppelt. We're looking at 19-inch rims, which are 225s, which are Michelin Pilot Sports S5 tires, and very, very lovely design on those. Fantastic design, absolutely love it. With also blue brake calipers you can see on there. And in general, just a very, very nice looking car here on the side. And just like anything with the new Renaults and stuff like that, we can open the door with the handle on the back for the back door. And for a 0 to 100 test, I have turned off traction control. Actually, I haven't. I gotta press it down a little bit longer. There you go, now it's completely turned off. It does have a launch control mode, but I'm actually not sure how to activate it. So launch control off, charge control off. I have also put it into sport mode. I guess now I just gotta press the overdrive button. And I'm also going to put this on start to see if we can get the gold medal. From 0 to 100 in 6.4 seconds, what is claimed. Let's see. Oh, I guess there was launch control. 7.02, and that claims 6.92, so a little bit different there. But I mean, the tires are cold. It is also very cold outside. It's only 12 degrees, and therefore 6.92 actually I don't think is too bad. Car claims 6.4. We'll try it one more time to see if we can maybe get it up a little bit, but I am gonna say I don't think we can. And same power again, overdrive. Okay, no traction issue there, and it was a little bit quicker right there. 6.53, and that's silver medal with 6.66 claimed right there. So actually quite close. We did have a decline of 0.9%. The previous one was an up inclination of 0.1%. So there we go. 6.66, and I got a nice animation there saying I did get my silver medal, but gold medal I think is going to be quite tough. Maybe on the slicks you might be able to get it, and some very warm tires. And welcome in the inside of the A290 GTS. It looks quite decent in here. Quality on the side, very good actually. We got a little bit of soft-ish material on the top, and then all the way to the bottom, only on the bottom we have hard material. These are all quite nice. Lots of similarities to Renault and Dacia. For instance, here in the center, parking brake, auto hold looks quite similar. We have D and R. We do not have any parking or P mode, anything like that. You just turn the car off, it's in P, or you also put your parking brake down. Inductive loading space or charging space, and also two USB-Cs. Climatization is not connected to the infotainment display, which is quite nice. You have your own knobs down here, just like in Renault and Dacia. Heated seats, heated steering wheel, infotainment display, and also digital cockpit. Infotainment display integrated with Google navigation, always quite nice to use. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto is going to be wireless. We can press on here and we have Apple CarPlay. And there's also a couple of things I am going to talk about here in a second. For instance, live data, coaching, and challenges. We'll look at that here in a second. Hands-free parking assist is also something we have. And if you go into reverse, you can also see, well, first we'll turn the car on. Reverse camera is there with also sensors in the front and in the back, but quality is not going to be very high. Steering wheel, very nice in my opinion. And also quite a lot of things. We'll talk about that here in a second. No heads-up display or anything like that. Seating position is also fairly low because, well, you just want to sit low in a sports car in my opinion, but you can obviously pump it up a little bit more. If I'm sitting here almost on the very bottom, I actually have a decent amount of headroom right there, and lots of space. So let's start driving this car, because it is actually the main thing that you want to do with this car is just drive it. The car wants to be driven, so you shall oblige to it. Turning circle, like I said, 10.2 meters, very nice. Front wheel drive system, and there's also a button here on the side, which is the My Perso settings. Press that once and twice. You have all the settings that you want for your safety features turned on or off, just the way you want it. And like I said, the car is just very good for city driving and then also for country road driving because of its agility and small size. And still you get that horsepower, which is quite similar to, for instance, a Polo GTI, like I've mentioned a couple of times now. Let's first of all start driving here in the city. And suspension-wise, it's a little bit more on the stiffer side, so you are going to be, well, feeling every single bump here, but I think it's still quite decent, even when you're driving in city, it's quite okay. Suspension does a decent job of smoothing the stuff out. We do have a couple of different drive modes. If you're driving in city, you might want to just stay in the safe mode, which is the eco equivalent mode. You have the normal, sport, personalized settings, or just the safe mode. I'm just going to put it into normal now, and we're just going to talk about a couple other things, like surrounding view, which in this car is actually quite decent. A-pillar is not too intrusive. You have a blind spot assistant in your side mirrors, and then when we look out the back, we have quite a decent size rear window, but the the C-pillar is going to be a little bit on the bigger side, so you're not going to see too much out of there, but I think still quite doable with obviously your blind spot assistant and stuff like that. And like I said, you're not going to have any issue finding a parking spot in the city with its size and also versatility in that turning circle, which is always quite decent in here. One thing that's also quite nice, typical EV, is you're going to have that instant torque, and therefore you're not going to have any problems overtaking somebody or accelerating from a traffic light in the city. That's always going to be quite nice. If I'm accelerating now here from 40 up to 50, I can just put it down and I'm up to 50, just that quick and easy. Let's go into sport mode now and unleash the full capabilities of this car, because there's some nice corners coming up. We do have this OV button, which is basically our overtake button. I like to call it overdrive, because no matter what percentage I'm at in the gas pedal, I can press it, and it's kind of like a DRS kind of thing in electric cars, or like in a go-karting, where you have the capabilities of pressing the button, you get that electrical boost, and you just drive with it. And the cornering capabilities of this car are very, very nice, because you have center of gravity being so low, you just have agility through these corners, and also almost like no body movement here. It is so nice, and very precise with its steering input as well, making it for an amazing car through these corners because you're not going to have any traction issues. And especially when you're on track, tighter corners are the best place for this car. They just feel fantastic. And then you can just, once you get out of the corners, press the over boost button or overdrive button, or the overtake button I should say, and you're just going to accelerate out of them insanely quick. Overdrive or overtake button is not going to be anything different than if you just do kick down, because you're going to have that same animation, same amount of horsepower. It's not like a boost button that you get on most sportier EVs, where it's going to show you, okay, here you get like 20 horsepower more for 10 seconds. This is just going to be the full capabilities. I mean, look at this. It has no issues going through here, and I'm going quite fast through here. That was 100 through that corner. That was insanely nice, and it just feels fantastic. There's no issue. You can also turn off traction control if you want. That's going to make the car a little bit more snappy around the corners, and when you're accelerating you can definitely feel it. That front wheel drive is going to struggle a little bit there, especially here on a little bit more wetter roads. What I would really have loved for this car to be is a rear wheel drive system, because that would add so much more fun to it. Or not so much more, it would just be a little bit more nimble, and maybe add a little bit of oversteering to it. Would just be pretty cool on tracks, for instance. Front wheel drive system, I feel like is never the best thing for tracks. Just rear wheel drive is going to be a lot nicer. You can see also here on the steering wheel we have this on the bottom, which is our regenerative braking. So if I flip, for instance, to the right, we have no regenerative braking now. Flip it 1, it's going to increase it, 2, and then 3. Quite cool. Like this would be in racing cars, for instance. Your traction control, you can change it between a couple of different modes. Quite cool, and also feels pretty cool. Feels pretty cool, quite cool. Cool. My vocabulary is not existent. If we turn off traction control, hold it down a little bit. There we go, now it's completely turned off, and you also have no sensors then in the front, I guess. And then if we just accelerate here from a little bit lower speeds, you will notice it struggles a little bit. Actually didn't have much problems there at all, maybe because we're also going uphill. Do it here in a second again. But yeah, it just, even from that acceleration from 50 up to 100 is quite nice. And there's also some cool things you can do in this car. For instance, here we have like this challenges thing in here, where you have between agility, it's in German now, but agility, power, and also endurance. If you press on agility, for instance, it shows you, okay, hyperspace, I guess that's what it's called. It shows you, if you press on this, you can only do it on closed courses, but it shows you, okay, you get a gold medal if you reach 0.55 Gs in a corner, for instance, and then you press on start, you have a minute time to actually do that, stuff like that. If you go into power, 0 to 100 values, for instance, you have that. We do power, oops, that's the wrong one, there we go, which is going to show you 0 to 100 values. The best, I guess, somebody has gotten was 6.7, because gold has not been achieved yet. If we've already done our 0 to 100 test, we'll see if we can get the gold medal. Just some cool things like that. And here, let's accelerate out of here from just a little bit more of a kickstance, from like 30. See traction control. There you go, you can see it kick in a little bit there, trying to, well, not traction control, but just the traction losses. Quite cool. But enough sporty driving, let's go back into a normal mode and talk a little bit about consumption. You can see here we currently had a consumption, if it goes back now, of 23.8. 16.5 is claimed. You're definitely not going to get too close to that, only if you're driving in the city eco mode. Then you might even be able to get that WLTP of 360 kilometers. We're currently at 62% with a range of 155 kilometers. That's not going to be too much, but this is not going to be the car you drive mainly. It's more of, well, you know, when you buy this car, sportier driving, country roads, maybe even some track time, but that's about it. I think when we got it at around 80%, it claimed around 200 kilometers, somewhere-ish, right around there. I think the most I've seen was around 230, when it was around 84% before we drove a lot sportier with this car. He's gonna have a good efficiency. That's just the weirdest bike, in my opinion. Like, why would you get a bike like that? What do you even call that? What is that thing? It's like a tricycle?
I don't know, man.
It's like a lying tricycle. But yeah, 23.6. like I said, you might be getting it down a little bit more, but this also includes just sporty driving in general, some Autobahn driving as well. If you want the full consumption test, video on the top right corner. But yeah, that's about it for that. And the suspension also really does a good job here when you're driving sportier. And then when you go into some rougher terrain, you'll definitely notice it's just very stiff. It's not going to offer you much comfort. So what is my final verdict on the Alpine A290 GTS? Design-wise, absolutely love this car. It's also very fun to drive. The power is definitely enough, but I would choose the bigger engine just so you have that little bit more horsepower, a little bit more agility in terms of acceleration. Overdrive mode is also quite cool. And in general, just a very quirky, fun car that you can take on track, country roads. Not really suited for longer distances. Love the attention to detail all throughout the car. Lots of French emblems all throughout the car. Rims absolutely fantastic. The price is obviously going to be a little bit high, depending on just because you're not going to have it as your main car, but as a second car, then just as a fun car, then I think it is something you might want to splurge out on because it is quite nice to drive. One thing I would have loved if this car would have been a rear-wheel drive system, because that would add a little bit more fun to cornering and just a little bit more agility to it, even though it's already quite agile. What do you think of the Alpine A290 GTS? Let me know in the comments. Before that car, make sure to like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.